You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlon studs and studettes. This is Brett Blankner with another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we help you find yourself through endurance at the end of all those long runs and rides and swims. You may ask yourself, self, who am I? And then there you are. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the show breakdown. We have an interview with Joshua Culp of Culprit Bikes, all about his disc brake equipped 3D printed Kickstarter super bike that you will be seeing shortly all over the place. It's really cool, and he is a bike industry insider, and it's very cool to talk about bikes and to nerd out on how they are made, what they're made from, and the whole process and the competition out there in the design world for bikes and what's coming in the future. It's really, really cool. All right. And also in the training log segment of the show, I take you with me as I order Blue Apron and start cooking delivered meals to the house. And also Kai does a 1 mile fun run that we clock with a Garmin, and I ride along next to him on the bike. He's actually doing it for a school project, and a whole bunch of other random things like a swim workout and all kinds of cool stuff. But before we get into all that, let's go ahead and do some triathlon news. Here we go. All right, first up, let's talk a little bit about Ultraman that went down Thanksgiving weekend. Ultraman Hawaii World Championships. 30 people out there on the big island, about killing themselves to get this thing done. Ultraman is a 3-day race. If you listen to the past few episodes, I went out and did one on my own and about killed myself out there doing it. They're really, really hard. It's about 2.5 Ironmans over 3 days. The final day is a double marathon. It's really tough. And your first place winner this year was Michael Coughlin out of Canada with a total of 21 hours and 44 minutes. And he almost broke the record. I think it was set like 17 years ago or something. I mean, it's a long, long time since somebody's come close to that record, and he almost did it. And yeah, just missed it by like a couple minutes. And then a Hawaii local named Stacy Studer did it in 28 hours and 29 minutes. And congratulations to them. A ZenTri friend, Christian Isaacson, got knocked out, I guess is the phrase we should use, out of the race on day 2 on the bike ride. There was really high winds and rain. The weather forecast for that day was, they had warnings in the forecast, 25 to 35 mile per hour winds with up to 50 mile per hour gusts. Imagine trying to ride your bike in that. All that beautiful Hawaii scenery, you never think about how treacherous it might be. And let's see, let's cover the distances real quick. It's a 10K swim, 6.2 mile swim, open water, open ocean, with wetsuit. Parts of it are smooth sailing, parts of it can get pretty rough, and then they get out and immediately head over to a 90-mile bike ride, which ends up riding up the side of a volcano at the top is where the finish line is for day 1. And then day 2 is 172-mile bike ride. I forget the exact number, but the day 3 is the double marathon in the heat. It's pretty crazy, man. So anyway, they went and did that, and that's in all the triathlon news right now. It's a really small field, and I'd say that someday, we'd see more people doing this, but the amount of time it takes to train is unbelievable, and that really filters out the competitors. The quotes and the victory speeches of the people that do these things say, I spent all year training for this, and now I need to go find my family again. And or this was many years in the making to even get there and perform like this. And I know somebody asked me how long it took me to do a self-supported Ultraman, and I said, actually, when I think about it, it was 10 years of training to get up to the point where I could consider doing one of these, have enough experience. I could have compressed it, I guess, into more, but you got a job and a family and stuff, and you can only do so much. So I think the field is never going to get to be too big, because to be competitive at this level, only so many people can do it, or find the time to do it, or the willpower and the dedication to stick with something for so long. Iron Man, for example, has a big problem with one and doneers. People do one and then they never do it again. And imagine what it takes to train for an Ultraman. Okay, also in the news, we have a interesting diet study that came out with basically people. They studied 800 people, gave them the same foods, and the same foods in different people gave off different blood sugar reactions. So I give one person a banana because, like you hear, bananas, they're kind of high in simple sugars, and they're easy to digest. Well, it sends that person's blood sugar up a lot, which is what we're trying to avoid here. And then you give another person a banana, and it doesn't do that to them. It actually, their body reacts maybe more to the fiber in the banana, what little fiber there is, and it just doesn't react to the starch and the sugars in the banana, and their blood sugar stays level. It's really odd. And what all this points to is that maybe different people should not take generic food advice and actually kind of listen and pay attention to what different foods do to them. You can go to a corner drugstore and buy a blood sugar test kit and eat something and then see what it does to your blood sugar if you want to find out for sure. It's really interesting. And I know that, some foods mess with me and some foods don't, and it's probably not the same foods as other people. So, yeah. And in nutrition news, there was a big blood sugar study that came out where they tested 800 people and found out that the same food will give different blood sugar reactions to different people. So you give one person a tomato and their blood sugar skyrockets. You give a different person, not the exact same tomato because it's been eaten, but a similar tomato, and their blood sugar doesn't do anything. And why? Or does hardly anything. So why? This whole thing with people are different, and different people have different reactions to the same food. It's really bizarre. No one has really talked about this before, and it's absolutely amazing. I remember when Emily was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, somebody told her to really watch out for watermelon. It'll spike her blood sugar like crazy, and that it's weird. And eventually she got around to eating some watermelon, and it hardly did anything. And I was like, wow, that's odd. But anyway, it's definitely a pointer to remember that you should pay attention to how foods make you feel, and test your own blood sugar, which is easy to do. You can go get a blood sugar test kit at any corner store and test your own blood sugar if you think something's making your blood sugar act like crazy. And all the tools are available to you to kind of study yourself and maybe zero in on what actually works. And by the way, Brian Brode, Tribe Boomer, sent me an article where more people are using maple syrup as fuel, which I find really, really interesting. All right, that's enough of the news that's going around. We'll have plenty more next episode. The triathlon world just keeps on rocking. And let's go ahead and get started with our interview, but only after we mention a sponsor. Let's go ahead and talk about livingfuel.com. All right, these guys make super healthy, nutritious food items of all kinds. They have green smoothies, they have purple smoothies because it's is it raspberry, it's berry flavored, and packets of chia seeds with coconut shreds. They make energy bars. It's all really, really good, and they're a big fan of ZenTri. They came to me and asked if they could help sponsor shows, and I said absolutely. And my favorite thing out of all that, they make a protein powder too that's like is it banana flavored? It's Anyway, let me back up. My favorite thing is these coconut chia packets where you cut them open and just sprinkle them in your mouth and eat them, and they taste really, really good. And the chia and the coconut is, loaded with fiber, which is great for you. And then also this smoothie powder that is green, and it is crazy healthy, crazy full of vitamins. And since I got that, I haven't been making my green smoothies where I pound all this kale and it's been forever, like rinsing off all this stuff and veggies and things, and put it into the blender and have to clean out the blender and do all kinds of crazy things. And instead, I take a scoop of this pre-made green drink mix and I put it into a bike water bottle and add some water and then shake it, and then boom, green smoothie, done. It's really cool. I use it every day, sometimes twice a day, and my weight has maintained a nice solid level. Hasn't fluctuated up and down all over the place. It's just maintained nice and even, which is a good indicator of good health and good nutrition. And yeah, so check them out, livingfuel.com. They have all kinds of different stuff, and also probably a bunch of stuff I haven't even mentioned. And also, they are a big supporter of the show, so go check them out. All right, now let's go ahead and get on with the interview. Here is Joshua Culp of Culprit Bikes, culpritbicycles.com. And this story, you're going to see a lot more of this happening on the internet here pretty soon as this Kickstarter project starts taking off. I'm excited to bring this to you guys. Here you go.
Welcome to the next level.
All right, I am here with Joshua Culp from Culprit Bikes. How's it going, man?
Not bad.
Not bad? And you're
Not bad.
in Taiwan?
I am in Taiwan. I've been here for almost 11 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. What time is it there? It's evening here.
It is. It's 10:40 in the morning.
10:40. Oh, you got a whole day ahead of you. I'm just wrapping up. All right. You have 3D printed a bicycle. This is crazy, and it's something I've always wanted to do, is get into 3D printing stuff, because I'm just looking at like 3D printing maybe a bento box or something like that, and you went out and 3D printed an entire bicycle for your
There's two ways. You can either 3D print or you can do CNC plastic. The thing for us is we wanted to be able to test cable routing.
Oh, cable routing. Yeah.
And so to be able to do that, we had to have it hollow inside the down tubes and sections of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, we had to go with a 3D printed frame, because then we can get that cable routing option in the RP sample.
Okay, and you were doing all this to kind of like market test cheaply, as cheaply as possible, right? Everything's relative. So as cheaply as possible, market test a bike design, which when I saw it, I fell in love with it. I thought it was really cool, and then put it on Kickstarter to see if it will really take off, and if it does, then you have funding for the bike. And you did it with a 3D printed prototype, which is really neat, because I think it's a really smart hybrid between the Diamond bike, the Flying V Zip bike that's been around for a while now, the Beam bikes, like soft rides, and then a standard Diamond bike, in that really the only thing that it's missing is seat stays. But those are just hanging out in the wind, and with modern carbon, you really don't need them. And so then the overall geometry of the bike is really pretty. And so tell us a little bit about what got you going with this, and where do you see it heading?
All right. Well, the reason one thing that we did the 3D printing for, that was also not just to show off the design, but also to check things, because once you open a mold, to go back and modify the mold, CNC it, and change it's a very difficult thing if you don't like what you have in the first place.
Right.
So if you look at most manufacturers, they actually do 3D printed, or they do a CNC plastic sample before they cut the molds.
Okay.
It's just something that most people don't know about, or they don't see, because most big manufacturers come and bring the finished product to market. Right. So as a small company, we just, like you said, we need Kickstarter to help us get that funding and to confirm the desire, because it is a very large financial investment to take this bike into production. So the reason behind the disc brakes and the legend was, we were one of the first brands in 2012 and 13 to launch disc brakes. And living in Asia where it's constantly raining, I've experienced how terrible carbon clinchers can be in the rain.
Yeah.
Or carbon tubulars. It doesn't matter what you're riding. But if you're riding on carbon braking tracks, it's not what it could be or should be.
Okay.
And so it left me desiring a lot of improvements. And when TRP was the first ones to bring out their disc brakes for road, I got really excited about that because I live about 10 minutes from TRP's main office. And so I got to really get on the stuff before when it was bringing out cyclocross frames and when disc brakes were just starting to move into the road sector. So I was able to play with this stuff and experience it firsthand how much better I thought it was. And we thought, why not put this on triathlon bikes, where the cable routing seems to be the most difficult of all bikes.
Right. So I've ridden mountain bikes with disc brakes, and I thought V brakes were good when they first came out. Gosh, like in the mid '90s, the late '90s, and disc brakes are incredible. So for people that don't know, when you're riding downhill a lot or for an extended period of time, the first thing you notice about disc brakes is your hands don't get tired.
Correct. It's about fatigue. It's not so much. People are always arguing, oh, you don't need the traction. You don't need to stop that fast. You don't need. I mean, the argument keeps going back to traction of the tire.
Right.
And that's not the reason for disc brakes. The reason for disc brakes is better modulation.
Yeah.
And the fact is, your hands just cannot get beaten up through it. If you look at road bikes, when you're going down a 10K descent, your hands are exhausted just from pulling the calipers the whole time.
Right.
But when you're on disc brakes, you're doing a single or two-finger pull the whole time going down because that's the fluid system and it's really easy to work with.
Yeah, so I went mountain biking with these brakes for the first time, and the first thing I noticed, they don't, your mountain bike tire gets wet or muddy or something like that. The rims, it doesn't really affect it. But my hands were so much more rested and relaxed and less fatigued, which allowed me to actually steer the bike a whole lot better, which led to a much better biking experience with that. And now I'm looking at, I'm doing Whistler, Ironman Canada, and in this summer. And that's a hilly bike course, and it could rain quite a bit. And I was looking into getting carbon clinchers, but I think, I know your bike doesn't come out for a little while, but I'm sticking with aluminum track at least for a while because the aluminum track wheels, because the course I'm going to be on is going to be it's going to be brake intensive at times, I think.
No, I would agree with that. Pierre is saying why go disc brakes altogether, and the fact is it's because the market doesn't want aluminum wheels. I think rim brakes do well, but however, the point is that hydraulics, when they are ready, will outperform mechanical. But unfortunately, right now, the only thing available to me is mechanical disc brakes. But I am aware that there is development going on in the industry for hydraulic triathlon brake levers. Oh, okay. So it will come. It will come in time. It's just it may not be released with our first production of our bike.
Yeah. So with your bike, you could actually now see where I live. I don't think I live in Central Texas where it's just rolling hills, and it actually doesn't rain all that much. So most of the time, I'm not. It's not Taiwan.
No, it's hilly and rainy here, so definitely.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good, but I was wondering with your bike, I don't think you've answered this question. Anybody's posed this question. Is it theoretical with your bike that you could do a disc rear and a regular road brake front?
Yeah, absolutely. Just it comes down to your wheel selection.
Yeah.
Because the back has CNC dropouts, so you're going to be either switching between disc and rim. But the frame itself is identical.
Oh, that's cool.
So it just depends on how you run it, and then of course the front forks would be different. So if you're going to run disc brakes, you'd run the disc fork. If you're running rim brakes, you'd be running the rim fork.
Yeah. And I saw the stem. So people want to go check this out. You're going to have a page up on Kickstarter pretty soon.
Correct. Very soon.
Well, when do you think that is?
It's really hard to say. We're trying to knock everything out and get our end done by the end of this weekend or early next week, and then it takes a few days for Kickstarter to approve.
Okay, well, I'll put a link to it along with the show.
Once we confirm the date, I'm going to send out a press release to everybody saying it's alive on this day.
Okay, and your main website is Culprit Bikes, right?
CulpritBicycles.com.
CulpritBicycles.com, and you have a full selection of bikes, and it'll be over by the time people get this, but it's Black Friday while we're recording this, and you have kids bikes, which is really nice. I like that. To have the selection for kids is a really cool thing, and also the stem on the bike that we're talking about is the Culprit Legend, and
correct.
the stem is hollow, and is the stem have some sort of cap on it, like lengthwise?
So I'm not gonna go too much detail about the stem because we're launching, I've got another partner and I are gonna develop this company. It's gonna be a new component brand, and we're still registering the company name right now, so I won't make the name of the brand public, but it is going to be a component-only brand. And we developed the same style you saw on the TD bike, but at a different angle, because that's a minus 17. We're going to do a minus 10 road version of the stem.
Yeah.
And with a little bit shorter cover. So you are asking, underneath is structural, so it's just a carbon stem that's got a cavity inside for the Di2 junction box.
Oh, okay. So you can put the junction box inside the stem.
Inside the stem.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then there's just typical 4 bolts with our two different cover pieces that hold the bar board down.
Right.
And then you've got the cover that's going to go on top with 2 bolts in final production.
Yeah. One thing I like about bike designs like yours is I like it where it's a classic head tube, so that if you want, you can put your own kind of stem on. And then trailing behind that is an aerodynamic bento box. I think that's a real smart use of the space, and I'm glad you're doing that.
And the bento box on display is not the final version. We're working with the manufacturer who's got the ability to put ground up Kevlar and plastics together, so it's going to be a lot stiffer and stronger and lighter than.
That's pretty cool.
And with that, we'll also be able to, he wants to. We're talking. He and I, the designer and I, are talking about making it with like more of a wing design that wraps around the stem a little bit.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it'll actually have a little bit more of an aerodynamic advantage in the final version.
Oh, that's cool. Well, like Specialized has a bento box called the Remora, I think it is.
Yes, on the girls' bike, it's similar in the concept.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I had one for a while, but I couldn't get it to stay on the frame. It eventually came off, so they should know that. Anyway, the another thing you've done, and I actually want to ask you about this too. Another thing you've done is right in front of the seat post junction. Because there's empty space in there inside the carbon, you've created a little slot to put in, for example, a bike tool, right?
Yeah, we originally wanted to go more space, but unfortunately the design limitations really got in the way of that, because we wanted to be able to fit two water bottles on even down the small sizes. So of course that was one of our design features for the bike. Is we don't expect people to race with it, because we didn't design the bike to be faster with water bottles on the down tube.
Yeah. But
we did design the bike to be used in training with hydration.
Right.
And so for that reason, we want to be able to get as much hydration on the bike for people who go out for 6-hour rides without a rest stop available to them.
Right.
And so using those limitations, it of course affected how wide or how long the down tube could have been. We could have gone 130, 100. The point is, it could have been a much larger down tube. And the same thing with the seat tube. However, we had to work within the constraints of water bottles. And so because of that, if you look at the new cube, and the new Canyon, they got massive joints between the seat tube and the top tube.
Yeah.
And the Canyon can fit, the Sparrow, a lot more tools and stuff in there. But we also found that because we're trying to get a lot more features on the bike, that wasn't the direction we wanted to go. And so we just put a multi-tool in there, which is the basics that you need to get, to repair your bike on the road. And that's the one thing I think people most of the time they forget anyways.
Yeah.
We always remember to bring with us our hydration, but we typically forget to bring that multi-tool.
Right.
And so one thing that you typically might need in the worst case scenario, and it'll be there ready for you.
Yeah. And I think you said something about like a neoprene little baggie so that
it'll be inside neoprene, so it won't be rattling around and damaging the frame.
Yeah. And I've wondered with these massive down tubes that bikes have now, how long is it going to be before somebody puts a side panel on one where you can pop off the side panel and then just store all kinds of stuff in there and like neoprene it so stuff doesn't bounce around. But that's a lot of lost space in those things.
Yes and no, because it's not that wide. You're looking at the most 27 to 31 millimeters. And
it is.
When you think about that, you've got maybe 18 millimeters of space inside. And how much can you really do that? And that's using that structural shape. If you start cutting it off, then that size diameter is not going to be enough for structural.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you have to be careful how much you play with, because you can make pockets, but every time you cut into it and make an opening, you have a lot more stress points.
True.
And so for that reason, if you look at the Ventum bike, Ventum did a great job, and they have an awesome patent that is for a conformed water bottle.
Right.
And so they've done it, people who want to do that are going to have to go to Ventum to get their approval.
Yeah.
And so that's, patents are out there. A lot of people, Cervelo has the hydration that's coming out of the sections of the frame and hydration going back in, tubes going into the frame to come out. So it's a really tricky thing of how you develop a bike that's got all this integration without stepping on somebody else's patent infringements.
Right. And speaking of which, you nailed some patents for yours, right? Without the seat stays?
We did patent a structural frame with a front triangle and no seat stays.
Yeah.
And so we do have that in Taiwan, China, and Germany, and primarily that's because those are the manufacturing countries.
Right.
You know, we did apply for America, but for some reason the U.S. government doesn't like to give foreign companies patents too quickly, and I've had friends who've told me they've had to reapply 3 or 4 times to get approved.
Wow.
And we were sent back a mountain bike patent infringement, which is pretty interesting. So it has no correlation, but however, I think it's just their way of saying reapply, and they really want you to just go through the process longer.
Right.
And in the long run, we decided it wasn't worthwhile because most people who are going to be manufacturing this bike in America aren't going to be offering the same price point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. And so let's talk a little bit about the frame without the seat stays. What made you want to take away the seat stays?
Comfort. We're trying to get a little bit more compliance in the bike because if you look at a lot of the road vibrations are, of course, passed through the chain stays up through the seat post. But also the seat stays have some influence in that vibration passing into the seat post as well.
Right.
And so by removing one connect, we're hoping to be able to dampen the ride and create a less buzz feeling and more comfort for the long ride.
Okay. And because I know you hear about people riding a Diamond, for example, say it's pretty comfy. These beam bikes are pretty comfy. So it would be kind of similar to that, right?
We have a little more limitation with how much we can get flex on the bike because the beam is actually most of the flex in a beam bike.
Right.
So I've got a lot more of the play there because you don't want to play with your chainstay stiffness too much.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to find out how much compliance we can get inside the chainstays, and we'll only figure that out once we start getting a carbon layup.
Right. And what about, for example, aerodynamics? You took this bike to a wind tunnel and got it tested?
We took the original Legend to San Diego Wind Tunnel 2.5 years ago, and we did have my version, and I was working at the time with another supplier on their version jointly, and we tested both bikes in the wind tunnel, the same frame shapes, and one had a seat stay and one did not have a seat stay. And the without seat stays did outperform the version with seat stays.
Cool.
So that was our original confirmation. Again, that bike, as you see on Kickstarter, we went through complete redesign.
Yeah.
And we did validate the bike this time in the faster wind tunnel, and that's just because we had a lot of runs to go through, and San Diego was just, as a small company, we couldn't afford the price. And we needed a lot more hands-on help, and we felt the faster was the right choice for us. So we did go down there, we tested a P5 in the exact same setup configuration as best we can get, matched, of course, with the Altura bar and other features. Same wheels, same heights and adjustments, everything were dialed in perfectly. And so we did the P5 with a bento box and without the bento box. And then we did our bike as a disc version, a rim version, and a 1x11 version.
Yeah.
And the results will be available soon. I can just say that the bike is on par. We did beat the P5 at occasional yaws, but it's not a flat across the board. We didn't beat them at every yaw angle as some other bikes are claiming they have or truly have. But we also realized that we are not in that same complete market because we're not like a Trek and we're not like these Cerveos that are completely integrated where the front end is so dialed in, all these details are so integrated that it's a great bike for the aerodynamics, but also it suffers when it comes to the travel section. Yeah,
I wanted to talk about that. So and that's what I'm like. For example, I have a BMC TMO2, right? And the TMO1 is a faster, lighter, bike, but it's so integrated on the front end that I can't figure out the length of the stem on that thing. And also, if I wanted to take it apart, it sounds like a nightmare. And,
you have to take your bike apart? Are you talking about the O1 or the O2?
The O1. So I have an O2, and with the O2, which is a more simple design, like I said, with the classic stem and head tube, I can switch out stems, switch out stem angles. I can take it apart for travel. Just do all kinds of stuff so much more easily, and that's one thing I really, really like about it. And as I'm starting to look at getting a different bike because mine's got a lot of miles on it. It's kind of hard to find a nice aerodynamic triathlon bike that's a more top end bike that still has the that kind of design where the adjustability and stuff on the front end is still there for somebody that I don't think hardly anybody does has has an average body shape.
No.
And For example, my stem, I have an adjustable angle stem. It's pretty neat. And I can change the angle of the stem anytime I want for different kinds of racing. And that's pretty neat that I can do that. And I can lower it if I want to be more aggressive or raise it if I don't, without ever even having to take the stem off. And so with your bike, the cool thing that I like is that it still retains that adjustability on the front end for traveling. Because so many triathletes, we actually have to go to these bigger races, and a lot of people complain that they need to also put a mechanic in their bike box.
That's one thing is because I travel a lot. I mean, Taiwan has some great races, but if I really want to race competitively, Taiwan's not always going to be my best choice.
Right.
And so I need to go to other countries for whatever reasons I want to go to, whether it's destination races with the family or whether I just want to get there and have a fun race. And so I do realize that if you go to drop off your bike, you could be waiting 2 or 3 days to get your bike back because everybody else has the same problem.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the reason why we did design a bike that was really easy to work with. And so you did talk about the stem. The beautiful thing is we realized we have our own cockpit.
Uh-huh.
And it's a new brand that we're going to be launching next year as well on Kickstarter. But if somebody doesn't want that cockpit, any other stem, any other handlebar can work. In fact, if you look at the video presentation on our Kickstarter campaign, one bike is built with our handlebar and stem, and the other bike is built with our stem and a profile design handlebar.
Uh-huh.
And they both work flawlessly with the setup. And so the nice thing is, if you look at, you want to run a 140 millimeter stem. Well, that's a pretty big stem for most triathletes. However, it is available out there on the market, and that's what you would need for fit arrangement and fit adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a 140 stem, put your handlebar on there. And if you are running Di2, we found there's no solution to that. To make it clean is you would just be using 2 junction Bs in your bike design.
Okay.
So you'd be running 2 junction Bs in the front because those are really small boxes that you can plug and play into and make it all compatible. And then you can run up run the junction A under the saddle. And we're going to have a hole out the back of the seat post.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have your Di2 cables run out through this frame, out the back of the seat post, and you can tuck it underneath your saddle.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
So it's a few more cables. It's a little more difficult in that sense. But then we've got the cleanest and the easiest option for you to have access to charging and Di2 function without having it hidden behind the stem if you don't want to try to hide it in an inappropriate place.
Yeah, and for now, Di2 is wired electronic shifting. It's pretty much the standard, but pretty soon they're gonna. Are you gonna allow mechanical shifting on your bike, or is it all electronic?
No, there's a bike set up, and the Kickstarter had some mechanical build. We did a 1x11, but we can also run 2x11.
Okay, and but I saw SRAM is doing the all wireless battery.
Correct, but you still have the blip box, so that's an issue that you still have cables running in the cockpit area.
Right.
And then from there you go wireless to the derailleurs.
Right, and also you sent me, before the interview, you sent me a link to some videos that you're going to put in the Kickstarter, and I think the one you got to keep is your wife bouncing up and down on top of the frame to show the strength of the frame. That is so funny. That is really cool.
I mean, it's a common question. People ask, can you make a bike stiff enough? And so the fact is, I thought, why not? I've had other friends who've done this with their bikes. They say their bike's so stiff, and they've had somebody stand on it before.
Yeah.
And that's great with a double triangle. So, I thought, why not? We've already taken this bike. It's been ridden. It's been reinforced multiple times to make that bike to where it is today, but just the rest of the bike had some design flaws. Uh-huh. And so we let the project forego.
Right.
But we knew through that there's enough material, and the materials are strong enough to make this bike rideable.
Uh-huh.
And so for that reason, I thought, yeah, why not? It'd be kind of a fun little video to show that you can walk off on the back of the bike. My wife is, of course, lighter than me. I didn't want to try my own weight because I'm kind of on the heavy side right now.
Yeah. But
nobody's putting that much force on that direction of the bike anyways. So it really wouldn't matter.
No, and that's without the axle with the wheel, of course it's going to hold up. And it's still funny. I like it. And also, you took the... You took the bike to Hawaii, to Kona, to show it off, right, with a little press release?
Correct, we did.
And, how did you just put it in a bike box and take it, or how did you get it there?
We flew it with us. Everything was disassembled still. So, of course, every time we travel the bike, it's more fragile than a carbon bike at this point. So we still have to pack it really carefully. I can't put it as a complete unit into a bike bag right now.
Okay.
So we have to disassemble the bike and transfer it and take it there and reassemble the bike. And it's a bit more work, but we're happy with the outcome. And, of course, going to Kona, we got a lot of attention. I had a lot of my competitors, engineers, stop by the bike and give it a look over and compliment me on the design, which is really encouraging.
Yeah.
So even the biggest and the best brands in the world are aware of this little small brand named Culprit, and it's definitely an encouraging feeling to know that a small company can shake up the industry.
Yeah, I gotta say, before I saw your bike, that design never crossed my mind. And then when I saw it, I thought that is real. I think I told you already off air like a few weeks ago. Wanted to get you on the show because the design is really cool. It's a bike. There's something about it because it's kind of edgy, but it's also the geometry is very classic triathlon. Like real sleek. There's something about it where all the lines just match up just wonderfully. So it looks super aggressive, and the width of the tubes and everything like that, and like I said, the trailing bento box, everything about it just seems to line up just right. And it looks like a bike that people would be like proud to be seen on. Some modern bikes just look kind of a little bit too funky or too weird,
Unfortunately, the market's heading that direction. Right? I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's good for everybody, but I think disc brakes are coming, and the problem is if you look at a lot of these current super bikes, you can't fit a caliper in the frame.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you look at the way these lower seat stays are on the Felt and these other bikes, which are beautiful bikes and extremely fast on wind tunnel, but there's no option for discs on that frame as it currently is because the caliper won't fit in that small, loud space.
Right.
And so that's one of the beautiful things about having no seat stays as well, is because we've taken that equation out of the problem. Mm-hmm. You want to put on any disc caliper, whether it's a bulky mechanical brake or a new sleek hydraulic disc brake, everything will fit on the bike. And that's another great feature about the bike, is because if you are traveling, you have a hydraulic caliper and something goes wrong with it and it's broken, it leaked, whatever can go wrong.
Yeah.
You can just go to any local shop, they'll have mountain bike parts on hand and a TT brake lever. And you can pair the two together with mechanical, and you're racing that next day.
Yeah.
And so it's not the best looking solution, but the fact is there is a solution that can work.
Yeah.
Because that's one of our biggest things. We want somebody to be able to show up at a race, and if something were to go wrong in transit, as long as the frame's not cracked, they're going to be able to find every other part for their bike at the local shop, and they can get their bike ready to race the next day.
Yeah, I did a self-supported Ultraman earlier this year, just like a month ago or two. And during training, I have these Zip return to center shifters.
Correct.
And they're
the same.
Yeah,
and they break.
They're beautiful, and when they work, they're amazing. And I thought, man, I'm getting away with murder here. This is great. Because it feels like electronic shifting, because they're just so, I would say entirely like electronic, but it's pretty neat, And then all of a sudden one went limp. It just like fell apart in my hand as I was shifting after about maybe almost a year of using it. And then I got it repaired, and then it started doing the same thing. And I thought, I can't go into a race like this. Because that one ride that I did where it broke about halfway through the ride, because I was stuck in a gear, my legs were just shattered after that, just a training ride.
I've been there. The same thing happened to me after Bike Rumor came to Taiwan during a bike ride with Bike Rumor. And so we were coming, luckily it was on the descent back from our 140K ride that day. Mm-hmm. But I was riding about 20 kilometers with only for my front chainring, so 2 gears.
Yeah.
And so, it left me pretty tired, to say the least. And also had the same thing happen to me in Challenge Phuket 2 years ago, the same shifter after it had been repaired. I had a break, and a local shop was able to miraculously heal it in time. And so I was back on the race course that weekend. But it is an issue of, we want to be able to have the option for replaceability. And if you look at the current super bikes in the market right now, you're limited to the parts that are spec to their bikes.
Right.
And that's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
It might make a faster bike, and we completely admit that that's a fact. Mm-hmm. Going proprietary equals to streamlining the shapes and making things optimal. But that also comes with the cost of, if something ever goes wrong, then I've got to wait for Canyon or these other suppliers to ship me the parts.
Right.
And that may not be a fast turnover.
Yeah. I went into the bike shop with my shifter, and I said, I want to go analog all the way with this thing until this event's over, while I'm training for this thing. I cannot risk this thing ever breaking again. And we put on a regular friction shifter, not even an index shifter, but just a straight up, wherever you put the lever, that's where it is.
They work really well.
And it worked. It worked really wonderfully. Well. And I'm used to it now, and I kind of don't want to change, except I want to get electronic shifting. But because the lever's all hanging off the bike, at the front, where that's not very aerodynamic. But Speak a little bit about the what people's perceptions and then also the reality of disc brakes on bikes.
Perception, of course, is negative by many people. We get emails occasionally asking for, oh my gosh, I really want disc brakes. I saw the Legend. I want your bike.
Yeah.
But then you go to online forums and people are completely bashing even UCI going to road discs.
Oh, I saw a thread about that today.
You've got a consensus of disc brakes are slower, disc brakes aren't going to help the bike, disc brakes are terrible, and they make a bike look terrible. And it's a two-sided argument, and everybody's got their advantages for both. I think it's where the market's going to head, and in 3 to 4 years, you're going to see only disc brake bikes for road, and of course, that's going to have to fall on triathlon because nobody wants to own 2 sets of wheels.
Yeah.
And so it is going to come. The question is, who's going to be the first manufacturer to bring the most aerodynamic caliper to the market? Mm-hmm. And that's the next step. Of course, I've got friends who can design it for me, but I don't have the capital to invest his development time and the R&D that's going to go into making such a system.
Right.
So it's really going to come down to our Shimano and SRAM and these other companies. Are they going to develop something that's going to fit inside the fork, like actually from the inside, not just posted off the back? Uh-huh. It's going to fit inside the chainstays, and that's going to be the most optimal designs. And so that's what's going to have to come, but the question is when and who is going to be the first one to get there. So I think it is going to come. In the beginning, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because we're going to be objective to disc brakes. I think there's a lot of things that need to improve. Of course, disc brakes are phenomenal, but they also do have their setbacks, such as rotor alignment.
Right.
And they're a little bit more fickle, and so you have to learn how to adjust these things. And so for the new triathlete or road convert, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to adjust and learn how to adjust their caliper on their own. Because it's something most mountain bikers are familiar with, but if you're coming from a non-disc background, you don't know how to do this yourself.
Yeah, I noticed that with my mountain bike, that I had to learn what was going on with that because it would drag a little bit until I started kind of figuring that out. And like a quick wheel swap, right? Like you're saying, you have to have disc wheels. If you're swapping out a disc, then you got to put a disc on. It has to line up with
Correct.
Yeah.
So there are some discrepancies, and I think there's ways around that. Unfortunately, my friend owns patents on the way around that, and that's going to be a two-stage piston lever, where the first push is a massive engagement,
right,
and the second is a micro engagement. In other words, you can have the pads a lot wider stanced, and the first pull will engage the pads to being the normal separation of a normal setup right now.
Right.
Then from there, it's micro adjustments to get the power you need.
Yeah, I could see that working.
So I think these are the solutions to the disc market that's going to make the pads have a bigger opening rather than 0.2 millimeter or whatever tolerance it's going to be.
Yeah, it's really
you're going to have a lot bigger tolerance in the future, which will allow easier switches.
Yeah. And I could see even one thing that people aren't thinking of, but like the first thing that came to my mind with the Culprit bike is the Culprit Legend is, I could, let's say you're not totally convinced, about the whole aerodynamic thing. You could run rim brakes on the front and disc on the rear of that bike. And then you have, your rear brake isn't your like main brake, but you got it as
correct.
So you keep your hand kind of relaxed, your right hand, while doing long descents, and you can alternate kind of back and forth. And then you got your front nice and clean, like people perceive is faster.
Surprisingly, though, we found, because we designed the bike more around disc brakes right now, of course we know we're going to go back and do some final tweaks to the frame.
Yeah.
And that's still in development now. We're still doing more CFD runs as we speak to get optimized in those areas we found we could improve the bike. Mm-hmm. But we did find in our testing the disc brake version out-tested our rim version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's because if you look at the fork, there's so much more air clearance going through the fork. Because you don't have to worry about the calipers and the bolting position of the calipers, and you've got a lot more clearance in the fork, and you get a lot more stance in the fork as well. So it did not surprise us that much, but of course we want a rim brake bike to be equally as fast. Yeah. And we're still working on that because we do know the fork cover, the magnetic cover, is not optimized, the shape of the cover. So we're still developing that right now as well.
That is really interesting because if you do look at, I've noticed that if you look at a standard caliper brake, even on an integrated front end bike, the way the brake pads are angled and how close they have to be to the rim, it is creating a lot of drag in there. So, interesting.
So what we did find is as across all the yaws, the Legend is 1.8 or 1.9 aero watts slower than the P5 with disc brakes. So if you think about that, 1.9 watts is not a lot of difference. And that's including disc brakes across all the sweeps of a P5 and our Legend disc brake.
Oh, wow. So what, you said 1.9?
1.9 aero watts.
That's, let's see, I think over an Ironman that might be like maybe like 10 seconds or maybe a minute or something like that. But then how much faster you could go down?
You go down, yeah, because you're saving yourself modulation and strength, and you've got a lot more return of that speed.
That's crazy. Yeah, because you just feel so much safer going downhill because when you need to bite into the brakes, you got them. Yeah. With disc brakes, I can imagine you're probably on a hilly course. You're probably over an Ironman. My gosh, you're probably going several minutes faster, I bet, because of the confidence that you've got, and just not, a minute or two. So it's definitely a wash if that's the watts. Really interesting, cool, huh?
I know one thing. If you're asking, of course, the Kickstarter. Let's talk about the Kickstarter pricing. Mm-hmm. $2,000, of course, is not a cheap bike, but we are including, of course, free shipping for the bike globally. We're including a tri-kit. If you look at our campaign, we're actually including a custom kit from Nimbleware, their top level, a short sleeve jersey, tri-suit, and shorts. Mm-hmm. And we're allowing you to put your name on the kit as well. So that'll match the bike perfectly. We're going to have kits, bike, and then, of course, the multi-tool and the brakes included. So even if somebody goes and looks at, the new Felt IA16 frame or whatever competitors are, we're bringing out our best layup for this price. It's not going to be a second or third year version of this bike being brought to market.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, just going back to road bikes, we were talking about disc brakes on road bikes, regular road bikes.
Correct.
Yeah, I would totally, if I was getting a new road bike, I'd totally get disc brakes on it. Because most of the time on the road bike, you're riding in a draft situation, anyway, and so much more depends on handling on one of those. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I've got a friend that got one. What did he get? He was thinking about getting a road bike with disc brakes, and I was all over him about it. I was like, you got to do that. Lives in San Diego, where it's real hilly. And I said, yeah, you'll love that. So a lot of the top-end road bikes now are getting disc brakes. So your Kickstarter, there's different levels of participation, or how you
there's going to be, of course, we're going to have just a thank you gift. Somebody who wants to come and say, mm-hmm. I want to support your company towards the goal. For that, we're giving out a carbon ruler. Mm-hmm. It's actually a 3K carbon weave a ruler with our logo on it and the measurements. Mm-hmm. And then this after that, it's just going to be frame sets and frame set plus handlebar stem. Yeah. So we're actually offering 40% off to the first 10 of a frame set and 10 handlebar stem frame set.
Oh, man.
And then we go 35% off, and then 30% off, and then after that, everybody's going to be 25% off. And so, our retail is set at $34.95. Is that right? Hold on. You might need to go back. Let me check the campaign. 1 minute. I don't have everything memorized.
People say, you said on this podcast, that it was this price.
Check.
How hard, while you're looking at that, how hard is it to get a Kickstarter project going?
I don't know if we've been approved yet, so
so you don't really know yet.
I can't tell you until it's for sure.
So they have to approve it.
They have to go through and check everything. It's not like a thorough check, but they do want to make sure that you're not a fraud and that they support what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I've spent weeks piecing this together, of course, mm-hmm. but it's been more than that in development of the whole bike, so it's definitely not an easy process.
Right.
But it's going to be... it takes them 2 or 3 days to approve, so we're hoping to get everything submitted by Sunday or Monday, and then hopefully they can confirm by Wednesday or Thursday that it's okay.
Yeah, people go through the same thing with podcasts. So you create a podcast. I get a lot of people asking for help with making their first podcast, and I say just record a test podcast that's only a couple minutes long, and saying what you're going to talk about, and then publish that, submit it to iTunes, and wait a week. For them to get around to it, and while you're waiting, start recording your second podcast, and because they're fickle about it. For the
rewards,
for the frame sizes,
yes.
And so, are you doing how many frame sizes at first?
We're gonna launch the 52, like the small, medium, and large, as the first Kickstarter goal, and then the second goal is going to be the 48 and the 58, and then the last goal is going to be a 650C.
Oh, okay, a 650. Cool. So a lot of bike companies won't make a 650. Are you seeing that as like a women's and smaller, like a smaller adult, a kid size or something? Or
it's more. I would say it's more of a smaller adult and a teenager, because we find you can go online and find that Miranda Carefree has a feature about how much better 650C is. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, when the Felt IA came out, she's on a 700Z.
Yeah, I know.
And so
she looks kind of funny on that thing.
I think there's a purpose for both, and I think
I agree.
It really comes down to fit, and we believe strongly in fit is important. So if a 650C is the right fit, it really doesn't matter whether you think it's going to be easier to get wheels on this and that. The faster bike is the one that's going to fit you properly.
Yeah, I know. As tall as I am, sometimes I wish there was a 750. Because I look like a bear on top of a beach ball with these things, with the bike. I know Jan Frodeno looks kind of the same, where the wheels looks like a normal adult riding a 650 because we're getting so tall on these. So I wish there was a bigger wheel, but I guess we're kind of stuck with it.
Do you like the black and yellow bike?
Yeah, that's really cool. Looks
and
good.
Painted. All right, so our first backers are going to be $20.95 for a frame set, and then for those. So it's just incrementally jumping. So that's 10 people at that price for frame set only. Then $22.75 for 25 people. $24.47 for frame set. Yeah, for 25 more people. And then it goes $25.50 is the price for frame set plus handlebar stem. The first buyers. $27.97 is the frame set handlebar stem for 25 backers. And then the normal pricing then jumps up to $26.21 for the frame set.
Okay.
And that's for all the way through to the end of the campaign. And then it's going to be $31.85 for handlebar stem.
Oh, still, that's really competitive pricing compared to the competition. So,
it's, like I said, we're going to spend a lot of time on the layup because we want this to be as light as we possibly can without losing structure.
Right.
So it's going to be the same level as your Felt IA FRD type layup and your the Argon 18E119 Plus Tri version. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of layup we're seeking to get after in that price point.
Yeah, those are real high-end bikes for people that don't know.
Correct.
Yeah, really high-end. And one thing, like the tube layout and geometry of the Culprit looks a lot like the front end. To me, looks a lot like the Argon, which is just a gorgeous bike. And so another thing you've said is color options, right?
Correct. We're going to have 7 options for Kickstarter.
That's crazy. So which one do you think is going to be the most popular in your bike experience?
I honestly think it's going to be black on black.
Yeah, people are into that.
People still like the subtlety of it.
Yeah, stealthy.
But again, I mean, the colors all came out really nice, and even if someone wants custom, we're going to offer $200 upcharge through Kickstarter for that, and that'll come out after the campaign. As well as people are going to commonly ask, why aren't we offering complete bike builds? Mm-hmm. And that's because we don't know Shimano's new spec until next year. We're still waiting to hear about the new Shimano stuff. Right. And so I'm not going to offer a complete bike build with parts that might not be available or they're not the newest available in the market.
Yeah.
As well as, it's going to be a 1-year delivery time, unfortunately, 11 to 12 months. And we don't want to take your money for that long from you. So if we can, take just the frame set, the parts that we need to get the molds open, and then when we get closer to a delivery date, we need to know this is how long we need to order the Shimano in stock. Here's the part, how much we need from you. Then we'll come out, we're going to tell you build options, including wheels. We're talking to Reynolds and Zip for disc brake wheel options to come. And then we're also talking to, doing our own wheels for a lower price point. So we do have a few options, and of course we're going to be looking at SRAM ETAP for one build. Then we're going to go to Shimano for the rest.
The same bike frame can be either rim brakes or disc brakes. Is that true?
The price is the same for rim or disc, correct?
Okay, but
so then after the campaign, you will specify which version you want to order.
Okay, but once you have one, you can't switch it to the other, though, right?
We can do an add-on purchase later for a second fork and paint the same colors.
Oh, but the rear triangle can do either.
The rear triangle is both, correct? It's just the fork is compatible to one or the other.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. All right, well, I think we've covered it from one end to the other. So, you have anything else that we haven't touched on?
One feature is did you watch the videos of the cable routing?
Maybe not.
There's 2 bike videos on the Kickstarter that show actually how the bike overviews of the bike.
Yeah.
If you watch at the very end, it shows you how the handlebars come apart. So you talk about the stem inside the stem.
Right.
So if you look at the way that the rim brake version works, the new TRP has a really easy wedge design.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw the brake working. That was really cool. Yeah.
And our stem does have a cable stop in it, so that's a nice thing. But we also realize people are not going to use that stem design for the brake.
Okay.
And so if they're using if they're using another stem where they want to do it externally, it'd be the same way as the disc version fork has the K-routing design. So it'll come out of the handlebar and it'll go into the cover from underneath.
Okay.
So either way, it's not going to be an issue whether somebody's running, a a full housing all the way to the caliper.
Uh-huh.
And TRP makes that brake as well. So if you look at the BB brake, that's using full housing, and there's a stopper on the brake.
Right.
And the front brake, I just happen to get 2 different samples from TRP because they're the very first CNC samples this brake. The front one is just a cable only, and the rear brake is a cable stopper option.
Okay.
So they're 2 different models, and of course the customers can specify when they order with us what they want for their build. So if they want to run a different stem option in the future, then we can put that different caliper on there.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I saw it's a cool video with the brake in action, and watching it, I was like, it was really simple.
It's a really clean design. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the lightest brake. It's not as light as maybe a tri-rig, but I think the function's going to be as good, if not better.
Yeah, the function was really cool.
It's just a really easy. I mean, it's just amazing how easily you can take that off without damage. Because the biggest question I always have is when you release a brake, are you going to damage it? Are you going to strip out the cable and have to refeed a whole new cable through the bike for travel?
Yeah.
And that doesn't, because you just have to release the wedge, and you've got all that cable pull you can release and take with you for travel.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my rear brake on the BMC is it's under the bottom bracket. That thing, a lot of people complain it's a disaster to try to work with. I have to deflate my tire to get my rear wheel off and on.
Well, that's because your rims are too narrow.
Yeah, it's
if you ride a wider rim, that you don't need to do that. Like essentially, if you're riding a 25 rim and you're riding 25 tires, and you don't have that problem.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's the rim I got, So, but flipping the whole thing upside down and getting all up in there is kind of a pain. And anyway, so not fun.
Any other features you asked about? Last thing, hold on. Seat post is Ritchie design. The wedge, brakes, rim brakes are compatible. All the pretty much all the features are on the campaign. Mm-hmm. The only thing that would be worth noting would be, I think, the frame fits up to 28 tires. That's a big thing. A lot of road bikes are 23 or 25, and we designed up to 28 because we realize, more so for the rear, people like to add the extra comfort in the back. Mm-hmm. And so you can fit 28 in both front and rear, which is pretty uncommon for tri-bikes these days.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it makes a difference for sure. Well, cool. Well, thanks for being on the air with us.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. And good luck. And maybe you can drop in a few months and tell us how it's going.
I hope so. Hopefully it's good results.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. It's a good looking bike. So, all right, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Joshua Culp. And I just saw in my news feed that the Kickstarter project is live. It's up there for you to check out. Go and check it out. The link to it is on ZenTriathlon.com. And let's go ahead and get started with the training log. But first, we need to name off some show supporters and a couple of emails. All right, you can help support Zen and the Art of Triathlon by going to ZenTriathlon.com, and on the left-hand side, signing up for the donations. You can do one time, you can do recurring. And here are some folks. Jimmy Radford sent in a note and said, hope you are well, and congrats on the Ultra Baby. I listened to the podcast and it's great stuff. Exclamation point. Oh, by the way, I always say exclamation point if somebody puts it in there. I have a math question for you. Math is maximum aerobic. I always say threshold, but it means function. Pay attention. All right, question for you. I recently just moved to a place where it's nothing but hills. I was having success running MAF on a somewhat flat course. Now, with the hills, my heart rate shoots up when I'm running the hill at a very slow pace, even. I added the even. Got any tips I can apply? Question mark. All right. So the problem is when you run uphill, your heart rate's going to start climbing like crazy. And if you're running MAF, where you're basically controlling exertion by keeping your heart rate down and not going too hard, basically long sessions with you don't let your heart rate climb, then now this is counterproductive, right? Because you're going uphill and your heart rate climbs up and it's exhausting you and messing up your MAF training. Okay, so 2 things for you. Don't take MAF training so seriously. And 3, if you are going to do this, then, because I say don't take it so seriously, because, man, you need to run hills. And somebody that runs where it's hilly is going to be a better runner anyway than some place where they run where it's flat all the time. But if you want to get your MAF in, get your MAF on, then a thing you're going to have to do is find a local track or a flat road. So I used to live in Birmingham, Alabama when I was a kid, and if you wanted to find a flat place to run, you would go to the local high school, Vestavia Hills High School, and run on the track. and that would give you a nice flat area. So search out tracks. Middle schools, high schools, even elementary schools have little dirt tracks, and just run loops where it's flat. And then also look for flat roads in town and run along those. So places where it's usually flat would be roads that run alongside a riverside park or a creekside, streamside park. Usually have flat trails, and get used to running loops, man, to get that flat in, and just minimize the hills. And yeah, that's your tip for the MAF training. MAF works until you need to run hills, but hills work too. So mix them up, do both. All right, Tom McPherson sent in a note and said, just started listening to your podcast about a week ago, and I am hooked. Sorry about that. Great information in a relaxed setting. Can't get enough, and you will be seeing more support from me. Cool. Tried out some maple syrup yesterday on a run and couldn't believe how well it sat and how strong I felt. Keep up the good work. All right, so thank you, Tom. And check this out. There was an article I saw just the other day about different alternative fuels. And okay, so one thing, you don't want to get crazy with alternative, right? Because mainstream is mainstream for a reason, because it works. But maple syrup is about the most mainstream alternative fuel that I've ever seen. It's kind of like honey. It's even better than honey. So it's a simple sugar, so it gives you that quick and reliable energy that you need, but it actually acts pretty slowly, and it's good for longer stuff because it doesn't tend to go bad in the stomach after a while like all the fructose stuff does. And there's something else. Well, there's like a million reasons why you want to do maple syrup. I'm trying to think of some of the main reasons. But one, it doesn't go bad. Two, it's not sticky. But I'm already on like reason number 5. And just all around, it's like really awesome. And oh, I know the main thing is it's a simple sugar, so it gives you that energy you need. But it's kind of a slow release. Simple sugar. Now, it's nowhere near as slow as something like, I guess, like UCAN or something like that. But it's nowhere near as fast as Gatorade. I drank some Gatorade the other day before and then during a workout, and I was bouncing off the walls, which is awesome. But that comes with a consequence later on. So you don't want to be amped up like you just smoked crack. You want to just feel good and not like you're just found your meth stash or something. And Gatorade does that to me, and probably does that to a lot of people, where you get a lot of energy, but then you crash. And when I've done long workouts with maple syrup, you have just steady energy, and then if you overfuel, you can tell. But then you don't feel sick like you do with some other stuff. You're just like, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I ate too much, so I'm just going to drink water for a little bit. And then you feel fine again. No, like, real sick feeling, no toxic feeling. And I would say, like, one sip of maple syrup will give you energy for, like, 20 minutes. And I'm talking like a little sip. Give you good energy for about 20 minutes, maybe longer. And a sip of Gatorade, the equivalent amount of calories in Gatorade, will give you energy for, like, 10 minutes and then crash. 10 minutes and then crash, like that. Okay, now, let's see. And that's just my experience. Everybody's different. Gatorade may be the best thing you've ever discovered. There's a reason why it's mainstream. I mean, in general, it works. But when you're going long, people tend to have problems with it, possibly. Okay, let's see. Brett Hoyer sent in a message and not a message. He sent a donation. Thank you, Brett. Best first name ever. Simon Wright, Neil Price, Connor Sanders. Let me roll up this window. I got this truck that pulled up next to me that's just idling its diesel, which is annoying me. There we go. And let's see, Connor Sanders, Richard Stewart, Hun Chu, what's up, Hun? And James Godek, and Megan Smothergill. That's an unusual last name. I have never heard that last name before. That's pretty cool. And she sent in a message and said, "I'm so impressed with your Ultra Baby!" ! Also, how you balance all the aspects of your life and keep it zen. Thanks for the podcast, Megan J. Yeah, well, the only reason I manage to keep it balanced is by zen. I think I found zen trying to keep it all balanced. I found it kind of after I started doing triathlon. I did triathlon, started training for triathlons, and started listening to podcasts, and then came across a Zen podcast, and then listened to a few of those, and I was like, holy cow, this can change my life. And it did. And here we are today. All right, Brian Kemper, Matthew Heinz, Todd Nelson, Spiros Fetsis from Libertyville, Illinois. Check him out. He's got a cool triathlon shop up there. And Jason Drury, Jessica Woodruff, Dan Macchia, Allison Frutos, Matthew Frois, M. Webb. Man, M. Webb has been a long time donor. Thank you so much. Erica Dennison and Peter Salzin and Tyler Moyer. Thank you. And let me give a shout out to Amrita Bars and Hornet Juice while we're here. Okay, so Amrita Bars, longtime sponsor of the show. And while I tell you about them, let me see if I can pull up an email, because there's a new thing. There's like an Amrita Club. And by the way, I love Amrita gear. It looks so cool. And people identify you immediately as part of the Amrita gang. And yeah, really, really cool looking gear. And anyway, you can get 15% off of ordering Amrita stuff with discount code ZEN, all capital letters ZEN, at amritahealthfoods.com. Their pride and joy are Amrita bars, A-M-R-I-T-A, by the way, Amrita. Not like John Hirsch says, Amarita. He's got it wrong. It's Amrita. And it's... oh man, it's so good. It's made by a family. It was made to help their son with food allergies and food sensitivities. And this stuff is made to eat before workouts, during workouts, after workouts. The flavors are incredible. I had a pineapple, I had a mango coconut one this morning. I mean, come on. That's crazy. Mango coconut. Does it get any better than that? And really smooth on the stomach, easy to eat, good snack. Sometimes you're out on a long bike ride and you're hungry, but you just want something to kind of like chew on and fill your stomach, and you're tired of all the fake crap. Well, Amrita bars are all natural, all good stuff. Again, 15% off with discount code ZEN, Z-E-N. And let me see, I got an email from the owner of the company, Arshad, and he said something about this... this club that he wants to let people know about. And let me pull it up. Because I sent him an email just for no reason, because I love Amrita bars. And I just said, hey, just wanted to let you know the Ultra Baby rocked, and I used Amrita bars, and thank you so much for supporting me, because I was in the Boy Scouts, and they taught us to be polite and thankful. And it's Thanksgiving. So he said in December on the podcast, can you mention that you can do Amrita bars 2 for $3 as a simple offer, but there's an Amrita Club. We are updating the programs. We'll have 3 choices: 5 bars, 15 bars, and 25 bars. And then the offer would be free tri or cycling top with every club offer. What do you think? Oh, he's asking me. Holy crap, I owe him an email. I need to tell him. I think that's great, man. I love the Amrita cycling kit. Oh, the bib shorts and the top. So you just get the top, man. It's black, so you look pro. And then it's got these kind of rainbow colors on it, like world champion rainbow colors, but as leaves on a lotus plant. Because it's Arshad. Is Arshad from India originally? I'm trying to remember. I don't want to get people's countries wrong. I'm sensitive like that. And then, let's see, we need to mention... Well, anyway, go join that club. Go check them out, amritahealthfoods.com. I'm going to email Arshad after I get off the air here and tell him yes, and I just mentioned it on the air, so get it rolling. And then the next thing is Hornet Juice. The amount of emails I get from people that try Hornet Juice and it blows them away is crazy. So Hornet Juice is a protein powder. It's an amino acid that you add to your workout fuel. And it's a ratio of certain amino acids that is the same ratio that was found in the Japanese killer hornet. And that is why they call it Hornet Juice. And it's these amino acids in their saliva is used to digest, to kick off their digestion or metabolism of body fat. And the Japanese killer hornet is the farthest flying for its weight. It's called a giant hornet for a reason. It's a big, fat, insect. And for its weight, it can fly farther than anything else, go farther than anything else without eating. And how does it do it? Well, it's metabolizing, body fat for fuel. Talk about metabolic efficiency. So anyway, in a lab, they figured out the ratio of amino acids that best. It just goes to show, man, you want to do something right, just look to nature. Nature's been around for billions of years. Ask how it's doing it, and then just replicate it, And so in the lab, they said, how is this doing this? They figured out it's these certain amino acids, and then they put it to work in a formula and gave it to athletes, and the athletes said, holy crap, I feel like I'm flying, and I don't need to eat anywhere near as much food to feel this good. And I've used it on crazy long workouts. When I did the Ultra Baby on day 1 and day 2, I used Hornet Juice in my fuel. I didn't use it on day 3. Maybe that's why my run was so much slower. And then just finished the day just feeling fine. Just amazing, Not even that sore. It was crazy. So, Hornet Juice is awesome. You can go to the... is it on the left or it's on the right-hand side? But anyway, you can scroll down Zen Triathlon and see the purple and yellow logo, and it's got the Hornet Juice items on there. And you go over there, and you click on that, and then you pick. Do you want a 10-pack? Do you want a 20-pack? Do you want a 30-pack? And are you crazy, man? You want a 50-pack? And I can tell you that people get the 10-pack, and then they email me and ask for more. The repeat orders are like, okay, because you get a better deal for your dollar, when you order more, because it's a little bit more bulk. And it comes from New Zealand, and you then have my email address, and you can send me a note and get your name mentioned on the show if you want. If you want to talk, send me an email with exclamation points in it, so I'll say exclamation point. And it's all a good time. And then you get something that's really cool for you, right? It'll make your workouts way better, and it's also makes your workouts more fun, and it's something you can show off to your friends. Hey, I've got this stuff. And they'll say, is that some kind of sex drug or something? And you go, no. Brett said on ZenTri to not use this during sex. You might damage your bedroom if you try to use this during sex or those around you. So it's not for sex. It's for working out on a bicycle or in a pool or running out in the street. So don't do that. And then also you get to support ZenTri. Zen and the Art of Triathlon, because every purchase you make, a little tiny bit of it goes to the show. And man, we need help over here, I'm just telling you. Oh my gosh, we need so much help. Oh, Kai's killing me with wanting Garmins and bikes, and I'm having to reinvest in a whole bunch of bike stuff lately, and it's killing me. And the show takes a lot of time. I'm on my lunch break, I'm supposed to be inside at Freebirds eating a burrito, but I wrapped up my burrito early and came out here to record this in my car in the parking lot because I love triathlon so much, and I want to see a world where everybody is doing triathlon, including you, and doing it easily and with fun, and it takes time and money. So a little bit of that goes back to the show and keeps us on the air. Every time I threaten Emily with, man, I'm not going to make this show anymore, she goes, you better make that show because we got an electric bill to pay. Just kidding, sort of. All right, that's it for the Hornet Juice little segment right there. And yeah, you can get it on zentriathlon.com. All right, let's go ahead and get into the training log. Got a lot of fun stuff in there. I forgot to mention also in there is we go camping with the Cub Scouts, and I sit by a campfire and talk about life in general. It's pretty cool with the crackling of the fire. It's pretty neat. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the training log. Here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone. Huneli.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right, welcome to a new training log. Start date. Let's see, let's look at the Garmin 920 XT. Thursday, November 19th, 7:37 in the morning. Leaving the pool. It was 47 degrees this morning when I woke up. Steam rolling off the pool. Posted a picture on Instagram. My swimsuit is steaming as I put it into the rooftop box of my Nissan Xterra and getting into the ZenTri Mobile Studios. Let's drive to work. W to the ERK. A lot going on because I am super stoked to be back and recording the training log. I've got some swim tips for you, how to have an awesome swim workout. But real quick, I'll probably mention at the beginning of the show too, at the top of the show, is, man, it took me like 2-3 weeks to put out an episode at a time because of the Ultra Baby, recovering from that and just taking time off so that I can get my legs back under me and my hormones back under me and just kind of rest and relax, and I coach and I work. I got a lot of stuff. I had a big bunch of stuff going on at work, and also with Kai, picking out a Boy Scout troop. So I got evening stuff and, just like a lot of stuff going on. And I allowed myself to get really into the stuff. There's a high schooler walking with his Monster Energy drink, which is about the worst thing you could drink this early in the morning. And then they put either a high school next to a Walmart or a Walmart next to a high school here in downtown Bryan. Not downtown Bryan, but in Bryan, Texas. And boy, ugh. Anyway, trying to get rolling again and trying to put the shows together. Putting together a show takes a ton of editing and compiling audio, and Ultra Baby was so big that I decided to put it into 2 different shows. And then the Multi-Bruins thing popped up. This guy is such an interesting story that I wanted to add that into a show, So anyway, I'm behind, but now I'm back on track, and I'm feeling great about it, and so excited to be on the mic. And there's so much stuff that goes on that I want to record, but I'm like, I can't record because I'll never get out the other show. The previous show, if I record more stuff. So let's pick up with swimming. How to have a really good swim workout. What is key is first, consistency, right? So you want to become a good swimmer, you need to swim a lot. And actually, swimming's very low impact, so you can swim a lot and a lot more harder. I don't know. Anyway, but you can swim a lot harder than you could running, for example, because your body doesn't get beat up swimming so much. You can injure yourself swimming. I've done it several different ways, but in general, you can do more swimming more consistently. So you go swim a lot, but you hop in the pool and you swim easy. Oh, and by the way, this works for biking and running as well. And you swim easy, and it'll take between 10 and 20 minutes usually for you to start feeling, and you swim easy with no intention. Like, you're just going to swim casual, and you got to be patient. Just be patient. It's okay. I promise you. You're just going to swim patiently and easily. And at first, swimming will seem kind of like a struggle, because you haven't been in the pool, and you're hopping in, and now you're swimming along, and your body's going, oh, crap, what are you doing, dude? And, your breathing rate's high, trying to catch up. But after about somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, and it depends on how much recovery you've had and how fresh you are, the more worn out you are, the longer it's going to take. But if suddenly, and it's really cool, if you pay attention and you're mindful while you're swimming along just easily, all of a sudden you'll feel your body systems click over, is what I like to say. They just go bang like that. And all of a sudden, breathing becomes easier, form becomes easier, technique becomes easier. It becomes way less of a struggle. And it happens over about 30 seconds to about a minute. You're like, what the heck, man? This is way better. And I look at my watch whenever it happens, and that's how I know in what kind of stage of poor recovery I'm in and what kind of help I need. There's an accident up here. Let's see, make sure Emily's not in it because she's driving the other way this morning. And nope. Anyway, it was 18 minutes for me this morning, and I'm like, that's a little close to 20, so I'm a little tired probably if it takes 18 minutes for me to finish my warm-up, right? And I'm just swimming along, just swimming easy freestyle, right? Single side breath, just cruising. Okay, now that's part 1. Part 2 is now you swim along, now that you've clicked over, until you swim along pretty easy until you can't stand it anymore, right? Now, that'll take a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Oh, another accident. That's a bad sign. I'm going to go ahead and change lanes. Whoa, that one just happened. That car's steaming. And so you change lanes. You change lanes. You stay in your swim lane, but you keep on swimming until you can't stand anymore. So that's about another 5 minutes. And you're like, man, I want to go faster. Well, you hold back. You'll keep holding back for a few minutes, right? Until you see the whites of their eyes, like Chaka Zulu. Those of y'all that don't know the movie, you got to check it out. And then you, after a while, you're like, okay, I'm going to do an interval. Then you treat this interval like weightlifting. You go hard for about a minute, minute and a half. If you were going to do bench press or curls or squats, how long could you do a set for? Well, it's about 30 seconds to a minute, minute and a half, like 12 reps, 15 reps. More than that, it's really not worth your time because you're trying to get stronger, right? And I'll tell you why in a second. And then for swimming, a really cool technique is you actually spread your legs and do not kick and let your legs hang. And that creates like a parachute, like a drag chute, like when you run and you dragging a tire behind you. And now the torque that transfers to your arms of having to pull yourself through the water, when you're trying to swim hard with that going on and you're trying to grab and pull and push back behind you, that will create severe burn in your muscles, just like you're doing like an upper body weightlifting workout. And you'll be able to do that, let's say for 30 seconds to a minute, minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, and it'll slowly start to burn, and then it'll burn more. We'll keep going with that burn, and it'll burn more, and it'll burn more, and then all of a sudden, you'll feel your energy level drop, right? Just like if you were lifting weights. You can only do like 12 reps, and then all of a sudden you can't do another rep, right? Well, that same feeling happens in your arms and shoulders when you swim hard like that, against that resistance of that drag chute. And all of a sudden, your power just drops off. If you had a power meter on you, it would go from like 300 watts just to like 150, just blip, like that. That's when you're done. When that happens, you're done with your interval. You stop swimming wherever at the nearest wall, and rest for a second, and rest for like 30 seconds. Rest for a minute and swim. Eventually, what I like to do is walk across the pool or swim easy elementary backstroke. Super, super easy. And you catch your breath, and then you start, eventually, after about a minute, when you get feeling back in your arms, then you go back to swimming easy again. And when you're swimming easy again, you repeat the whole process. You swim easy, you speed up a little bit, and then after about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes, you can't stand it anymore. And you're like, I want to do another interval set. Let's go. You're like, all right. And you do it again, right? And then throughout your workout, you do 3, 4, 5. And swimming, you might be able to do 5 or even 6 of these as compared to running. Biking, you could probably do a lot too. You probably do like 4 or 5. And it ends up being like a weightlifting set, but functional weightlifting that's actually going to make you stronger. You've spent 45 minutes to an hour swimming, right? So it's building up your endurance. And you've built up strength, and you've also built up top-end speed, which is huge. So many people don't do that, and they wonder why they only have one gear in swimming. It's slow, Okay, now let me tell you why this is so important. There was a study that I was listening to something a while back, and I already knew this. A lot of people know this, but it was so cool that a study proved it. Your first muscles to fail are your major muscle groups. Once those fail, so let's say your quads while you're running, right? So you need to strengthen them. You need to do strength training so you delay that failure. If you don't do strength, just brute strength, then if you do brute strength training, you'll delay the failure of that muscle group to later in the race, right? And then later in the race, when that muscle group finally does fail, what happens is you fall back on little muscles that aren't the muscles you should be using. Now you're having to use like your little tiny, less effective stability muscles to do the job and help out your major muscles that were doing the job in the first place, but now have failed, right? Well, those stability muscles, they suck at doing, or the wrong muscles for the job to do the job, they suck at doing the job. And they're not going to work out very well for you. And that's when your form and your speed just totally crash out, right? And you see this in your races and in other people racing or doing long workouts where they're starting to come apart, and you can see it. Start running weird, running with a limp, swimming real slow turnover because their major muscles have failed. So if you do this strength heavy hard work, just like weightlifting, then you're strengthening and beefing up the major muscles that you need to carry you throughout the race. And if you make them strong enough, they will never fail. Because if you work them at a really high intensity rate, that's way faster than your race, way harder than your race, right? You're getting them to fail in a minute and a half, several times in a row, right? You're never going to go that hard in a race. So you are tempering, like tempered steel, tempered glass, you are tempering your muscles to be crazy strong. And as long as you never approach that level of intensity in a race, which you shouldn't, because races you go easier for longer, then your muscles will actually be able to sustain the load that you're giving them as long as you feed them with fuel. And you'll be able to go a long, long, long ways without your major muscles blowing up. And that, by the way, is one of the ways I train for Ultra Baby. It's pretty cool, huh? All right, that's it. I got to go into W to the ERK. We got some work breakfast to do. Oh, I want to talk about Blue Apron, too. I'll do that in a little bit. All right, out, bang. All right, we are back, I believe. Yes, we are recording. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is Blue Apron. So you hear all these ads for Blue Apron where you order food. I'm about to tell you what it's actually really like. So the reason we started doing Blue Apron was this pattern we were getting into, which I do not like at all, of microwaving TV dinners and just eating really super convenient food, which ends up getting lower and lower and lower quality. But then somebody's got to go to the grocery store and get all this stuff and all these ingredients and everything. And I thought we would try this Blue Apron thing, because the upside is you get meals and they're well-rounded, healthy meals. Every meal seems to have some kind of really good industrial-grade veggie in it, mixed in with carbs, and protein, and all kinds of good stuff. And you cook it yourself, so it would be like a meal that you would order at a restaurant. That's how fancy it is. But they're actually pretty simple. And you cook it yourself, and it makes, I guess you get different sizes, so many meals per week. It all kind of depends on what you get. And they deliver it to your door. I think there's another service too, another brand that does it. But they deliver it to your door, and you cook up a meal in like 20, 30 minutes, and then you have like a really fancy meal made out of real food with real ingredients. And instead of going to a restaurant or doing packaged stuff that is loaded with grease and too much of this and too much of that, it's unhealthy. Over time, it starts to add up. So I said, let's go ahead and try it, because we calculated out that it's like $8 or $9 per person. But you don't eat a full meal. You just throw the leftovers in the refrigerator, and there's some hidden value in it, I'm about to tell you. So first day it shows up at your door in a box that's about 2 foot by 2 foot, maybe. It's got ice packed in the bottom for the meat and whatever else it needs to stay cold. Everything else is individually wrapped. And this is for 2 big meals. And it's got, the produce is fantastic. Lots of produce inside. Like insane, obscene amounts of kale and sweet potatoes, stuff like that in there. So that's all pretty good. And then, what else does it have? The little accoutrements that make a meal taste really good all comes with it. So your cilantro and parsley and spice blends and things like that. And very simple instructions with pictures on how to cook it. And the very first thing, I kind of expected this, but I also, it became really apparent really quickly, is basically you're going to learn how to cook. I already know how to cook. I love to cook, right? but I don't know how to cook everything, and if you don't cook often, you kind of forget like little things. Man, you are going to cook, and you are going to use a lot of your pots and pans and cutlery and all kinds of stuff to get this done. It's just I already know how to cook, so I'm not afraid of, and I kind of know what it means, to say when it says do this and do that. I'm like, yep, I know how to do that. I dice this, chop up that, put it in the oven for this many minutes, and all blah 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 blah. Right? So we pull in Kai to help us cook, and now we're really cooking with real ingredients from scratch. Right? So when you do a squash or a sweet potato, you're cutting up that squash and dicing it, and when you peel this, and when you do garlic, it's a garlic clove from scratch. That from scratch, you have to peel all the papery stuff off the outside, the natural, whatever that's called on the outside of a garlic clove, and do all that. And I remember at one point, Kai goes, is that what a squash looks like? And I'm like, what, you don't know what a squash looks like? And then I thought, man, we totally needed this. This is paying off big time. And I was trying to think what else was so cool about it. Oh, well, there's a downside. It takes longer than it says it takes. I think if you've cooked the meal once before recently, then yeah, you could probably do it really quickly because it's fresh in your mind on how to do it. And we're getting faster as we go along. But it's taking, instead of 20, 30 minutes, it's taking 40, 45 minutes to cook a meal, and it's because of the preparation of the produce, man. All the dicing and chopping and the peeling and the mixing and stuff like that, that's actually time consuming. So there's another upside with that downside, which is really cool, is when it takes longer for you to cook a meal, guess what you do? You start snacking. Well, now you're spreading out your calories so that you're snacking and snacking and snacking on just not the food that's in the box, right? But the food that's just laying around your house. You have an apple here and a piece of cheese there and a glass of wine and another glass of wine and another glass of wine and just kidding. But and some pretzels and hummus, right? You're just like snacking on stuff around, and then by the time the real meal is served, you're not going to just gorge yourself because you've been snacking. I strongly encourage this too. And this is a very historically accurate way to eat. And I think it's one of the reasons that we've gotten fat is we're served all of our food at once immediately. And that one of the tricks to losing weight is to eat just a little bit and then wait a little while and try to spread it out, right? Well, when you are cooking a meal from scratch, it takes so long that you start snacking and you snack and snack and snack. And then by the time the real meal comes along, you eat about half of it and then you put it away because you're not hungry anymore, right? So then you don't overeat at a single setting. And that's actually really cool. And I think it's really vital. So we've had, I think tonight will be our 6th meal. And you can go online at blueapron.com and check out the different meals that you get. And of course, if you're vegetarian or any of that weird stuff, you can get your a menu just for you. What shows up is it always seems to be a surprise. It's something like we won't get the same meal for a year. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I am not sponsored by them. I would like to be so far because it seems to be pretty great. And it's the energy around it is really neat. Like Emily and I are texting each other and calling each other. Whoever gets home first, what's in the box? What kind of meals did we get, right? And that's pretty neat, man. So we're doing 2 a week, and I'm cooking. If it shows up on Monday, I cook Monday and Tuesday, and Emily cleans dishes, and then I said Monday, Tuesday, yeah, and then Wednesday and Thursday she'll cook. And then I'll clean up dishes and, cook whatever. And, it's got a lot of positive benefits as far as the family cooking together. A lot of conversation, a lot of stuff happens in those conversations, a lot of talking about your day and planning and stuff like that. Eating together and then washing dishes together without it being the same boring, repetitive meal. So that's been my experience with Blue Apron. Pretty interesting, huh? And maybe you want to check it out, maybe not. And just give it a try and give me a shout. Also, if you use it and you like it, and I didn't mention something that you've noticed as well. All right, out, bang. All right, I'm here with Kai, and we're about to do a 1 mile, not a race. Well, it's kind of a race. You're doing a school project. We got to show 5 steps to something, and you decided to show the 5 steps to a really good one, your best 1 mile run, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have on a Garmin 25, Garmin 25 running watch. We've already on a Google Maps drawn a 1 mile loop, so we're gonna do loop. I'm on Emily's bike, which I'll describe in a moment, and you're ready to go, dude. And you're gonna run and time yourself, and then we're gonna upload it to Garmin Connect, and then you're gonna print it out and take it to school and show a 1 mile run measured accurately with your time and a map. It's pretty cool. You ready? Did you already hit go? No. Okay, you ready? Go. All right, he took off. He's 11, so he's a freak for 1 mile. He's already way ahead of me. I gotta catch up. So, I guess the getting old has begun, where or being outshined. I need to be on a bike to keep up with my son running. And it's a beautiful day. Kai's running in the bike lane, and I'm just a few yards behind him. I'm going to yell some encouragement here in a second. Make sure you look both ways before you cross. It's not worth getting hit. It's just a school project. All right. Looking pro, bro. Looking good. How you feeling? Good. Thumbs up. All right. I'm on Emily's 1996 Raleigh M40. It's a steel frame mountain bike with grip shift, which I actually like grip shift a lot. I wish they were still around. I wish they were on the ends of aero bars. You could just click shift. They're really aerodynamic, I think. But anyway, it's got the bullhorn bars. All right, this is your left turn coming up, correct? Car to the rear. Go ahead and cross over. There you go. All right. How you feeling? So we got Kai. I got Kai. This Garmin 25 actually is a motivation to get him out running more often, because it's like the cheapest Garmin where you can it's the cheapest running Garmin, I think, and that will there's a 20, but the 25 will upload automatically to your phone, and I figure the fewer steps the better. And how you feeling now? I heard a heavy breath over there. Huh? Your face is getting kind of red, dude. Oh, you better do it. This is worth a grade. You're looking good, man. Are you wearing all matching red and black on purpose? Try not to make them laugh. And what was the other thing? Oh. Instead of I'll be quiet for a second. Instead of sitting around and watching TV and playing video games, taking a gamble. Because video games are great. We got the Star Wars Battlefront. That's pretty cool, you know? But everybody's human. And it's like, is he one of these people that once he sees what he's doing, then he'll want to do more, you know? Like running miles per week. And if it's uploading automatically, pretty much, then I can ask, how many miles have you run this week? He's like, oh, I don't know, like 3. I'm like, well, you're not playing any more video games until you run a couple more miles, you know? Like, it's quantified, so we're not guessing, for example. So we're about halfway through. Gosh, Kai, this is such hard work, coasting. I don't know if I can handle it. I'm so old. And he's not being phased. We're coming up on kind of a busy intersection here, so we're going to have to be careful. But it's a friendly little neighborhood. Emily's back at home cooking the Blue Apron meal for tonight, little steaks. This is it, dude. One more turn up here where that car just turned in. That's your turn. This is your biggest hill right here. Is it starting to burn? No? You want to do the Kima Triathlon this year? You want to do the Kima Triathlon this year? Thumbs up, yes. Are you using the hand signals from Ultra Baby? No? So far, he's using the watch a ton. He wears it every day, and a cheap Garmin, the 20 and the 25, actually makes a really good kids watch because it's waterproof, right? So you don't have to worry about them wrecking it. It's actually really built like really tough. But an older kid that knows what it is and doesn't think that it's like just some junky thing. Like, I wouldn't give it to just any kid. Like, Kai knows that it's an expensive GPS watch, so he takes really good care of it. This is the home stretch, dude. It's downhill. I would start sprinting. See that truck on the left? Oh man, listen to that. I hear panting. Oh. How do you get to be so good looking while you're running at the same time, dude? Look how strong you are, dude. Look at the strong shoulders. Look at the strong arms. Oh, oh, he's speeding up. You can do it, dude. You can do it. Why are you holding back? Why are you holding back, dude? Come on, there you go. There you go. Man, he took off. And punch it when you get to the middle of the intersection. Go. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. All right, let's look at it. Let's let this van go by. Let me see what you got. Come here. What'd you get? 723. 723? Holy crap, dude. That's pretty awesome. You got talent. Your face is all red. It's red as your shirt. I'm proud of you, man. How do you feel?
Good.
Can I interview you, sir, about your race?
Yes.
Yeah, so what motivated you to come out here today and perform this spectacular feat for the fans?
My ELA project.
ELA? Yeah. English Language Arts?
Yeah.
I thought you spoke American.
I do.
Y'all? All right, you ready to go get something to eat?
Yes.
What do you want right now?
Breakfast burrito with 20 pounds of ice cream.
I don't know. How about a little bit of ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the house. Good job, dude. I'm proud of you. right, guys. I am sitting by a campfire. We're doing Webelos Woods, which is where you take your Webelos pack, which is Cub Scouts, to a big Boy Scout camp out with tons of Boy Scout troops. And you go round robin around and visit all the troops. You end up staying the night with one troop. But, I don't know, we visited a dozen different Boy Scout troops today to see. You're kind of auditing them, interviewing them to see if that's the troop you want to put your Cub Scout in when they go from Cub Scout into Boy Scouts. And it's been a really great day. It's cold. It's down around 30 degrees, maybe 35. And I'm tending the fire while all the scouts in this one troop are at the big campfire. So it's about a 3/4 moon, 2/3 moon overhead. We're in the woods out in the middle of nowhere, and beautiful fire. See, I doubt you can hear it crackle. That's what it sounds like. And enchiladas for dinner. Had some chili. There's a crack. Chili with wild pig, wild hog in it, venison, and which is deer meat, and all kinds of stuff that I won't get into. The whole scout culture is really fun. I grew up. I was a Cub Scout and then a Arrow of Light, a Webelo, then Arrow of Light, and then Boy Scout, Order of the Arrow, and then all the way through Eagle Scout. So I've got, I don't know, how many years is that? 8, 10, 15 years of Boy Scout running through my family, and my brother's an Eagle Scout. My dad was an assistant scoutmaster and a Cub master, and Emily's brother and Emily's dad are Eagle Scouts. It just goes on and on and on. My granddad was a Life Scout and saved a drowning kid, and always had a memorial plaque on his wall or an article in the paper or something like that. A commendation from a local congressman, I think is what it was, for saving somebody's life. But the Scouts is really, really fun. And I guess in future podcasts, as we get into this, as they go from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts, the dads end up doing way more. And it's really humorous how the dads actually almost do nothing, and the boys it's a boy-led troop where the boys lead themselves. And then they eventually, they learn how to survive, and then they become Eagle Scouts, which is really cool. Hopefully. And if not, they still learn a ton of skills, which is really nice. So I'm tending 3 campfires while they go off and do a big super troop. There's like 10, 15 troops here. Big campfire with ceremonies and skits and awards and all kinds of stuff. And so I wanted to just be nice and quiet. I was getting kind of tired. We've been here since early this morning. And there was something else. I'm looking for a troop for Kai that does lots of backpacking, and then you're looking for a good fit, because as a dad, that also allows moms to come along. They all do. And as a dad, you're actually making sure that you get along with the other dads, and you don't have nut jobs that you don't like. So a nice mix of dads that are cool and laid back and aren't overbearing, so that the boys do the work, so they learn and they grow, and but not lazy. So you got to keep the troop alive, or else it'll peter out over the years. And it's funny, having studied all this Zen stuff after being in Scouts, watching what's going on. It's so Zen. It's awesome. The dads are basically Zen masters, and they purposefully, and the dads were all telling us, all the different troops, over and over and over again, every troop we went to, they let the boys fail over and over and over again so that they learn how to do it right. So it's kind of like a controlled failure constantly on purpose. But they just step in when somebody's about to break an arm or catch themselves on fire. Then they go, okay, you don't need to do that. But some kid will say, I'm really hungry. And then the dad will say, that's great. What are you going to do about that? The kid's like, eat. Well, why haven't you eaten? And then the kid will say, well, I don't know how to cook my food. And he's like, well, maybe you should ask somebody to teach you. Will you teach me? No. Ask your patrol leader, which is an older scout. Ask your patrol leader when he's going to teach you. And he goes, okay. Like that. So it's really, really funny. Over and over and over again. And I've realized watching all this, because it's been so many years since I've been out of this. It's been, I guess 20 years. I was 20. Yeah, it's been 20-something years since I was in this environment. And I was in a really good, really professional, huge Boy Scout troop. And I was a patrol leader and quartermaster and all this stuff. And it's really funny watching this. It's a controlled failure in the outdoors, right? Where everything can go wrong constantly. And you strip away all creature comforts. So you're cold or you're hot or you're being eaten by bugs and you're hungry, right? And your tent is wet, your clothes are wet, you've got blisters, like all this stuff. And it is so much like a Zen monastery where you have nothing. You have nothing, and now the only thing you have is what you create yourself. And they do it once a month for a weekend. Most Boy Scout troops go camping 1 weekend a month. And it is, and I think, looking back now, I'm like, oh, now I know why I like the Zen stuff so much. It is so much like, and like the triathlon stuff, doing a triathlon race is you strip yourself down to almost nothing so that, now what, right? In fact, if I can remember off the top of my head, I was listening to Alan Watts, The How and Why of Buddhism, and basically it had to do with if you find yourself, you can't find yourself on purpose, because finding yourself on purpose, then you're not really finding yourself. He explained it better, but you find out what makes you tick by creating an environment where you're forced to find yourself. And that would be like doing an Ironman, right? You can't see what you're made out of just by looking at yourself, right? Because they say that's a snake with legs. It's like pointless because it's not the right environment. But you take away everything so that you're forced to struggle a little bit. And then you find yourself. You find out what you're made out of, right? When you're put in a hard environment. It's when you have a hard decision, that's when you find out what you're really made out of, right? When you're faced with fear, that's when you find out how you're brave, which ways you're brave and which ways you're not. And that's what you're made out of. And then you build on top of that. Well, now you know what you're made out of. Now you're comfortable in your own skin, and now you know you can walk through life, at least for a while, a little bit more comfortably, because you're confident in what tools you have and what tools you don't have, what you're good at and what you're not good at. You notice a mature, wise person will offer to do the things that they're good at and will decline the things that they're bad at and say, well, maybe I'm not the right person for that, right? Because they know they've been through it. They've been through the ringer. And that's why we do, one way to get there is by doing endurance sports, or like wilderness survival camping, right? It's the exact same thing. You put yourself up against an unwinnable situation, a situation that really strips you down, where you have to make choices and face your fears. And then you know what you're good at and then what you're bad at and where you have difficulty. And then you can walk through life and help others with strength and with confidence and make decisions at work at home with your family, out in public, with confidence, and you can carry yourself with a lot more and be able to do more and feel better about yourself. You end up being happier because you know what you're made out of, right? So like an extreme example would be a Navy SEAL at a public library or at a street corner, right? You can guarantee that Navy SEAL has a lot of confidence or is very comfortable and just relaxed, just reading the book at the public library or just standing on the street corner waiting for a cab, right? Because he's been tested so much. He knows what he's good at and what he's bad at and isn't worried, right? And doesn't have anxiety and is very happy and comfortable because they've got their resources that they know how to use. And I think one reason that I really like going on long bike rides, for example, is you're on a piece of machinery that could break down and you're out on the road where you could get hit by a car, or you could have a flat tire, or starve to death, or get dehydrated, or whatever. So you're in a very primitive situation that's very, I wouldn't say do or die, but it could be. You know, it's a tenuous situation out there, exposed in the elements on a long bike ride. And but you've got your tire change kit, and you've got your fuel and your water and your helmet and a phone, and you're self-sufficient. And now you know you've got all the stuff, and you know how to change a tire, and you got a spare tube and spare tire, whatever you need. And you've got the materials to help yourself in case something goes wrong. And it feels good. It feels so good to be self-reliant. But you don't know that you're self-reliant until you've tested yourself. And that's what Alan Watts was talking about in that podcast. I think it's The Essence or the History of Buddhism, Part 4, about 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes in. He starts talking about that. It's really good. I posted it on Twitter, a picture of that podcast. And, yeah. So I'm sitting here at this campfire, even though it's 30 degrees outside. So that's about freezing. I've got on 4 layers of thin stuff that I can shed or put back on, and gloves and a beanie hat. And I brought my own little Ziploc bag of cashew nuts for extra calories in case I need them. And I know where the coffee is, and I'm happy. I'm so happy because I'm self-reliant, and that's happiness. But I don't know if I hadn't been just punished with freezing my ass off sometimes, and now I know, having been very cold and wet and scared and in the dark and and alone in the elements. Having been through tough stuff, I know that what I do have is actually enough, right? And then I don't need any more, at least for a while. It ran through my mind several times, like if something happened and I got stuck out here, how long could I last? Like with my little bag of nuts and water. I know where the water is around here. I can last for a few days. So in case something happens, I'm good for a few days. And that's all I need to know. And then everything else is gravy after that. So anyway, I thought I'd record a little bit while I'm here by myself. Straight from the campfire talk. All right, that's it. We're going to have a peach cobbler and hand-cranked made ice cream in a little bit. That's good stuff. The Boy Scouts. Tomorrow is mystery eggs for breakfast, which it's basically eggs, scrambled eggs, and plus whatever they can find and throw in there. So that's kind of funny. I like that one a lot. All right, a little more campfire sound, and then we'll sign off. Here you go. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this show. I just left Freebirds eating a nice burrito, and my stomach feels really happy, and I didn't have to cram down a whole bunch of calories because I was starving, because I'm doing something that I'm really enjoying. I'm snacking on cashews. So when I went on this camp out, actually, maybe the day before I went on the camp out, I was like, I'm going to start looking into healthier fats. What's a good thing? Nuts, of course, always. And then what kind of nuts? And then I grabbed cashews at the gas station and also some trail mix. But then I was Googling around on the cashews. Nutrition Data is a website that if you just type in nutrition data and then the name of the food, and sorry, my nose is starting to itch, and they and also just looking up some articles on cashews. Holy crap, cashews are really, really good for you. The problem with eating fat and all stuff is a lot of fats have very little nutrition in them. It's a lot of calories with not much nutrition. And so, let's say you're doing the whole, adding butter to your coffee. It's kind of questionable on whether that's actually good for you or not. If you need butter, then of course it's good for you. But if you don't need butter, holy cow, that is not good for you. And the thought crossed my mind, why not just eat some cashews and get your fat and, and some nutrition, some healthy fats. And then drink your coffee. And I did that this morning, and it was wonderful, with an Amrita bar, by the way, a little bit later. But you can get cashews at the grocery store from a bulk bin and get them flavored, different flavors and stuff. You kind of watch out for that. They add some crap to it to make it tasty. But in general, it's still pretty good. And cashews are 2/3 fat. And then out of the other third, 2/3 of that is carbs, which really isn't much, and then protein, and then a ton, I think, of magnesium and zinc and selenium. I think they're really good for your eyes. And a little bit of fiber in them, and man, way better than just slapping a pat of butter in your coffee. Man, have some cashews. Really, and they're crunchy and they taste good, and they're actually a seed from a fruit. There's a cashew apple, and they grow off the tip of the cashew apple, which is pretty weird. It's fun when you go and start Googling that. And I've noticed I'll snack on them several times a day. Just grab a little handful. I got a bag of them, and I'll grab a handful every once in a while. And my energy levels are really even because the fat just burns for a long time in those. And it's just a handful, just kind of here and there. And then over the weekend, it was so cold, sub-freezing temperatures, and I never really got cold. And I think it's because I always had some fat burning in my stomach. And, when you're digesting food, that creates heat, and that heats up your body. So if you're if you're going empty stomach, cold weather might bother you a whole lot more. But anyway, went for a swim this morning after eating some cashews and an Amrita bar and a cup of coffee, and had a wonderful swim. And my bike ride last night, I did kind of the same thing. The swimming or biking like half an hour till your cadence gets nice and high and you're really nice and loose. And then if you feel like it, mixing in some short intervals to kind of temper your muscles, burn them in a little bit. And then boom, done. 1 hour under the belt, 1 hour continuous swimming, and listening to the Joel Filiol podcast, and the vindication of the way I coach swimming was so awesome. They coach. It's just so nice to hear the best of the best coaches saying to coach swimming and train for swimming for triathlon exactly the same way that I have found that actually works for coaching swimming. It's super cool. So I suggest you listen to that. And then also, if you found any of the podcast or tweets or anything like that helpful, where you're like, man, this guy has really changed some of my stuff for training, and I've benefited from it, from the common sense, Zen, simplify methods, then consider throwing a donation towards ZenTri and helping keeping the show on the air. It helps a ton. Whenever I get put up against a wall about should I do ZenTri or should I not, Emily sees the donations roll in and she's like, no, you are not stopping that. That is really helping out with paying the bills. And so it's cool. It's super, super cool. I love being an internet coach and podcasting and giving tips, and then getting a little bit of payback for all the help that I give out there. And you can help too by going to zentriathlon.com and going to the donation button on the left-hand side. You can do it one time or recurring or any of that stuff. It's super, super cool, and I really like it. And I'll leave you, with Chris, there's two things. I'll leave you with Chris Haig Coaching, our last little sponsor here. Chris Haig Coaching is an awesome athlete, really does a great job with training and coaching, and wants to hear from you. I can't recommend him enough. Love his personality. I've hung out with him plenty and know this guy. Now, God, he seemed like a kid when I first met him, and now he's full-blown, just awesome. And Chris Haig, Hague, chrishaigcoaching.com. Check him out. And then also, I was reading a bit about Tolstoy, and Tolstoy is a famous author, of course, and he struggled, maybe when he turned 50 or so, I think, with getting older and what is the purpose of life. And there's this big write-up where he was just like, there is no purpose to life, so why shouldn't, he was getting kind of depressed. And he's like, if you actually think through it, there is no purpose. There's no point to it, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't do anything, it's just life, just keeps going. And what do I do? And he was getting depressed about it. And one of his conclusions was that one thing that brings a lot of joy to life is to see how simply you can do it. So you take things that appear difficult and trim them down until they're the most simple way possible. And it brings a weird joy to your heart. And it also frees you up to actually have the time to enjoy the nice stuff in life when it does happen. And I wanted to leave you with that. Simplify. Simplify. Do it with as little complication as possible. And notice how happy that makes you feel to have the right tools at the right time and nothing extra. It's absolutely amazing. All right, that's it. Everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.
Home.